Greetings and welcome to the Common Sense Academy. My name is Evelyn Cooksey and I am the CEO and founder. We have been talking about the different stages in purchasing real estate. Today we're going to talk about stage 4. Is what happens once you submit your application. This is the premium part of the process because what's going to happen is the information that you put on your application is going to be verified by an underwriter, and they're going to scrutinize it up, down, and all around. So be ready to get feedback from them, to request additional documentation. All of that will happen. There's never been a loan that the underwriter did not have some questions or ask for additional documentation. So don't get worried when they start to ask you for stuff. That means that they're in the process of reviewing your loan and getting it where it needs to be. When you submit an application, you're giving that underwriter a snapshot in time. So what you need to make sure is that everything that you have in that application can be verified, okay? So at the beginning, I gave you the general documentation that's required when you go to apply for a loan. They ask you for your pay stubs. They ask you for your bank statements. They ask you for all of these things because they're going to use these things to validate that the information you gave is correct. So what you need to understand is what goes on in that underwriter's back shop and in their mind and what they're looking for. Because their job is to make sure that the lender is not taking a high risk with you. And so every piece of paper that you submit to them, they're going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. So for an example, when they look at your bank statement, they're just not looking to see how much money goes in and how much money you maintain. They're looking for a lot more information. That bank statement tells a story. On your bank statement, it tells them if you've ever been overdrawn, how many times you've been overdrawn. It also tells them that if you tell them that you make $20,000 a month, and that you have direct deposit, they're going to verify that that direct deposit amount is actually what is going into that account. So they're going to contact the bank and see what your average balance is. They're going to contact your employer to make sure that you're employed and that you do the hours you say you're doing, and that you have, if you list overtime hours, that you're actually doing those overtime hours. They're going to look at everything because it's not just your credit score that's going to get you approved. It's going to be other factors that they're going to be looking at. They're going to be looking at your loan to value ratios. They're going to be looking not only at your credit score, but they're going to be looking to see if you have any public record on your credit report. They're going to look to see if you filed bankruptcy in the last 7 to 10 years. They're going to be looking at all this information for specific things that could cause you to be disqualified, or that you have to confirm with them why it's appearing that way. They also look at the type of property you want to buy. They're going to look at the loan to value ratio. If you're trying to get an 80% loan, a 90% loan, a 100% loan, they're going to take in so many factors that it is crazy. So understand that what the underwriter does is the most important part of the process. Okay? And that you want to make sure, like I said, that your ducks are in a row. That if you say you have a certain amount of money in the bank or in your savings that you're going to use for closing, make sure the money is there. Make sure that the money is seasoned, that it just didn't get deposited there 2 days prior or whatever. They're going to look at that to see if your money for closing is seasoned, and they prefer that it be sitting there for at least 6 months. Unless it's a gift from somebody that you have to prove the documentation of that gift. And so the other thing too is if you have multiple people on the checking account that are not going to be a part of your loan, they're going to have them validate that they understand that you're using these funds in order to close the deal on your real estate transaction. So the underwriter's job is, like I said, key. It's primary. It's at the top of the mountain. It's the apex of the whole loan process. So the thing you need to be prepared for, like I said, be guaranteed that they're going to question some stuff. Be guaranteed that they might have you submit documentation that you feel you've already submitted. Be guaranteed that they are going to be scrutinizing every nut and bolt of that application. So you need to make sure that you're prepared for that you do have your ducks in a row. Because what is going to make them feel comfortable with you is if they ask you for something, if you can get it to them right away. So if you have your binder and you have all your documentation and you have everything that you need, as they ask you for stuff, don't question it. Don't ask why. Don't go to your realtor because they don't know. Don't go to the lender because the loan officer's job rather is just to package up your application. Okay, your primary person is your underwriter. They're the ones that's going to tell that lender if you're worth the risk. So make sure that you understand what their process is. They're going to look at your debt to income. They're going to, like I said, they're going to look at everything. Information that you don't even think is pertinent, they're going to do it. They're going to have you submit your tax returns, but on top of that, they're going to have you sign a form that they can go directly to the IRS and get a copy as well to make sure the information that you have on your tax return matches what the IRS has. Okay, so in addition to that, like I said, they are entitled to ask you for any additional documentation they want. So I gave you the basic things that you will have to have, but they can come back and ask you for additional stuff. If you say you have a retirement fund, they're going to check and see what that retirement fund is. Okay, they're going to check every crack and crevice of that loan application. So be prepared, like I said, to get feedback and requests from the underwriter because their job, they're policing that application on behalf of that lender, and they're going to make sure that things are up to par and up to speed. And so if you want your process to continue to move quickly and smoothly, be ready to respond to whatever request they have. So that's what I'm saying. In your binder, even if you think it might slightly be needed, put all your documentation in one spot so that you can get your hands on it right away for that underwriter. And so people always ask, how long does the underwriting process take? It takes as long as it takes. It could be a couple of weeks or it can be 30 to 45 days. It depends on how quickly you move, how many questions come up with your stuff. But if your stuff is solid, you've submitted the information appropriately, that makes the process go smoother. I've seen deals close in a week. I've seen deals close in 2 weeks, and I've seen some of them take 4 to 6 months because the person was not prepared for what was about to happen. Okay, but the underwriter, like I said, they look for everything. They look to see if the payment that you're going to start having is going to shock you. So if you've been renting from somebody and paying them $200 a month, and then you want to take on a house payment of $1,500 a month, they're going to look to see what your financial position is, how much money you got in savings, if you're going to be able to afford that. It's what they call payment shock. They're going to make sure that you're not going to go into a payment shock going from paying $200 to $1,500 a month. So remember, their job is to police the application. Their job is to put the lender in the least exposed position with you, taking the least amount of risk. So understand what the underwriter's position is. Understand that they are the ones that will put the stamp of approval on your loan or not. But expect to get feedback from them. Every loan I've ever encountered, the underwriter has always come back and ask for additional documentation to make sure that you are not a high risk to that lender. So work with the underwriter. That's all I can tell you. If you don't work with anybody else, you make sure that you work with that underwriter for your loan.